Hey, what's going on, everybody? We are back for part 3 of the House of 808s and Basses. I'm your boy, DJ McCree. Well, grown man, but anyways, I'm DJ McCree, and I'm just here to help everybody get their 808 game up, highly requested videos or whatnot. So, let's go. So, this particular episode, we're going to be actually talking about like just the mixing of like 808s and certain other artifacts as well, to kind of get the balance of it. So once again, I know it could be a really intense thing. Mixing is not really that easy of a concept to understand, so don't worry about all that. I want y'all to just worry about this particular way in particular. It's just keeping it simple. That is the rule. Just keep it simple. Also, before we get into this, I just want to say you can go to djamacree.net anytime, any day at /store and get a lot of free plugins as well that are freeware. They're not, bootlegged or anything. You don't have to worry about no viruses or any of that. Have plenty of stuff. There's going to be 2 instances of stuff that I'm going to use on this channel. Use on this particular tutorial. I'm going to go to the screen cam, which I'm going to pull, since I'm already on the bass one already, I'm going to pull up this Camel Crusher. We already have talked about this on Free Download Fridays, obviously, but maybe some more elaboration should go into it of how distinctively you should use it. And then what else is actually on djamacree.net? This baby right here. Now, this baby right here is the 600X made by Lindell Audio. This is a very, very good plugin. It's free, and basically, I do give away free plugins as well every Friday. And yeah, more interesting stuff as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this music. Dear Kala. So, as we get into it, and yeah, anyways, what the so once again, we already know we have this track, and we was doing crazy stuff to the bass already. So I'm just gonna go and mute the Doom 2 bass, which is actually the more interesting bass of all. And we're going to go and open up the Chris Fresh 808 that's going to be in the Kill Bill kit that's coming out soon, part 2. So, there's some things I want you to, observe here. And once you open up FL Studio or whatever, or your DAW or whatnot, FL Studio users, this is going to be more related to y'all than anybody else. But, you could apply this to anything. It has a limiter. As you can see, it turns it down. Has a limiter or whatnot. Now, but what I want y'all to observe is a few things as far as the telescope. And I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna mute the bass real quick. Now, this is very important when you're just leveling out your percussion. Now, if you're paying attention to the actual oscilloscope here, you can see there are 2 things in common. One, the bass is hitting, the kick drum is hitting as hard as the snare, or if there was an instance of a clap, the instance of a clap. Now, one thing I do kind of go by the books by is that I have the kick at least a little distorted, and I don't say distorted as in like adding like Camel Crusher or any of this or whatnot. Once again, these are available free on the webpage on djamacree.net. Link will be in the description box. But let me see. I'm just gonna play it. But you want them on the same level as each other, because, you know, give or take, you could turn down the snare if it's too loud. So you can see it visually. What that does in essence is it creates room for the 808 bass to be, the 808 or bass to be, you know, punchy. Now, if you actually have a VU or UV meter on your sound card, you actually notice if I turn out this bass, that the kick and snare are not going to be anywhere distorted. But as soon as I turn on that bass, it will. Well, it'll be in the red. I shouldn't say distorted. It'll be in the red, because digital distortion is kind of different. So, you know, with that being said, you know, that I want to point out that actually this particular kick in general has a special property to it. But anyways, you know, that is where you want to be. You know, just look at it visually again. Now, let's go ahead, and I'm going to use Tratendo Melodies, and I'm going to set this to song mode. And here we go. So I'm just going to play it real quick without the drums. How many of you guys just lost your ears there? Probably not, because I'm listening to this on my headphones, so it didn't sound too bad. It's pretty loud though. So we're gonna put this on track number 7. Now let's actually look at this particular melody or waveform in. I'm going to go ahead and rename that here. Call that the lead. And we're going to actually look at that within this particular insert channel. Now, I can almost guarantee you, you know, seeing that we're mixing the 808s and stuff in there, I didn't want to make this like a mixing tutorial in general, because we're just keeping it simple at this point. I can guarantee you that there's not enough dynamic range in between the melody and the drums for them to coexist and not have any problems or not sound very professional. And mind you, I don't even have any of my cabinets or anything up, which I'll probably just add just a little later on in this tutorial. That sounds horrible, at least by my standards. But what you can do to fix this in retrospect is this: just turn it down. Just turn it down. You know it's loud. Just turn it down. The most things about mixing are common sense, anyways. Now, how would you know that this is what it would be too loud or too low out? Originally, it was this. But what it really needs to be is this right here. And the reason why it needs to be that is because once you get into this, once you get into making this track, you know, it will have the room that it needs for every transient to breathe, you know, in its respective room, you know, just having the headroom needed. So, which is needed for bass. So let's play it with the bass. Now I'm gonna turn it up and let you see how horrible that sounds if your melody is too loud. make my bass a little bit too good, but yeah, it like, and just by all purposes, you can just slowly add it up, turn it up as you go through. So we're going to add the drums now. Woo. Do, 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 do. And continue to watch today, because this is gonna be something I'm gonna talk about, and it's mind blowing. Because we're gonna work with this track. This track is gonna grow along with the series. So, anyways, moving forward, we're gonna go back to just talking about the actual bass, and But yeah, that is where you want to be when you're just doing your regular premix to your beat. As you can see, you got all kinds of elements, and they're not fighting each other. They have their particular room already, and you haven't even did it. Well, I have the FL limiter. When I pull FL Studio, limiter comes up, and that's a particularly good sound. So, but anyways, you're already halfway there. But by my preferred cabinet, that's not in there. But anyways, back to the 808. So, there's other things that you could do to your 808, such as adding more overdrive. Now, in particular, certain plugins, if you was doing a do to, you could overdrive it or whatnot. But this particular plugin, which is free, and that's a blessing that it's free, you can drive the gain and reshape your 808. Just actually having this over on top of this gives it more of a more harmonic excitement, Now, here's some things you could do to it, because I've already showed this off on, free download Friday. So that's too much bass, but watch me fight it. Just an output. Now I can roll in some more gain. And you see how it's shaping the bass in the mix? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's halfway lit as it is. And you could do other things, dropping it to 30 hertz, 60 hertz, or even 100 hertz. Further exaggerated. But the main thing that's important about that is you got to make sure that you're rolling off some of the output as you're attenuating the gain, because or attenuating the low boost, because there's certain things that it'll sound good, but you want to maintain balance, because your 808s itself is already affecting one part of the frequency spectrum. It's respected part of the frequency spectrum, which is the low part of the frequency spectrum. So it's already, you already have that dominated. So there's no need to, be over to dominate the mids and the highs as well. If you're adding too much of distortion, because it will be it will add different harmonics such as like square or even saws, which actually have low, mid, and high frequencies. It might be predominantly in the lows because of the way your scale is, but adding more to the frequencies, piling onto the frequencies actually affects your mix and making it what a buzzword would be for people that muddy or cloudy, and your mix, it'll lose its clarity. Even though this is, adding some harmonic excitement that is much seen in analog gear. So, but this is damn good. And if you have to, just do that, What you're doing there, you'll create more headroom so you can just do more stream stuff, with your mix. Boy, that crisp fresh 808 is freaking monstrous. So, right in there. All right. Camel Crusher, it's self-explanatory. I mean, I you can't adjust it anymore. Me in particular, my favorite preset in general, when people ask me, is British Clean. This doesn't sound very vicious. Well, goodness gracious, if I take it off of bypass mode, how about that? So, as I was sitting there vibing out there, Camel Crush, it has some pretty decent ones, but I think British Clean is probably one of the best ones that you add because they add so much more girth to your 808. But yeah. So, with that being said, that's pretty much it for this episode. I think I actually over elaborated the mixing part of it, The next episode. That is actually a good question. What will be the next episode? Yeah, I've really thought of what I'm going to do for the next episode yet. There is one particular thing I was going to talk about. And yeah, we'll find out. Well, anyways, if you like this video, give it a like. If you have any comments, please leave a comment. And yeah. Like I said, this particular track that you're hearing is going to develop more and more as we go part of this series. And also a special surprise coming up next because I can't wait. I know, I'm sorry, but yeah, free download Fridays will be today. And I was supposed to just do a surprise episode. But anyways, yeah. So if this is your first time seeing a video by DJ McCree, hey, check me out. Check out more videos in my playlist. I have plenty of great stuff in my playlist for you, so I think you should check it out, as far as tutorials and reviews. So subscribe, please, and thank you for your time. Have a nice day.